So, speaking of LeBron James, we got a whole lot of interesting news coming from the Space Jam universe. So, apparently, we got Lola Bunny getting a makeover, right? We have a bunch of Disney movies that got pulled. We have some Pepe Le Pew controversy where he's getting taken out of the movie now. We have just all this stuff following the Gina Carano stuff from Mandalorian, and just all the other cancel culture like Dr. Seuss. I haven't even looked up what was going on there, but apparently Dr. Seuss is an issue now as well. I have stuff to say about it, and I also actually have information about the Pepe thing, but I want to hear what you guys have to say first. Hector, I know you have a lot of stuff to say, so let's start with you.
So I want to cover mostly the cancel cultureness around Pepe Le Pew. But I think once you hear what I have to say, you will kind of, realize that my what my position is, and you'll kind of, get a sense of like what I would say about all these other things that are being canceled, right? Okay, so I've always found the idea of cancel culture very interesting. What started out as exposing people in power has now transcended into um, or it has transcended to include just about anything, right? I'm partially on board with the movement as far as exposing people, in power to swiftly remove them from their positions for their wrongdoings or what have you. I can roll with that. But like calling out a corporation, production company, book companies, or any other non like human entity, I have a problem with. And my main problem is motive, like the motive behind why we want to cancel these things, right? And let's take Pepe Le Pew for example. So you know what? First of all, like who are I want to know who the parents are that are like torturing the kids and making them watch this. Is that show even running still? Like where's the content coming from? Like where they just are they Googling this? Are they YouTubing like old shows and showing it to the kids and be like, oh, I don't like this. I don't know, man. It's just that part is like, dude, I don't even know where to find this TV show. Looney Tunes, where is it running?
Yeah, I think they probably just watching like old Looney Tunes stuff, maybe, or maybe the first Space Jam. Like you could always run that back, right? And he's doing his thing. So I mean, the content is forever out there.
Forever out there. That's right. Okay, so yeah, there's more and more on a more
Hec-
serious note.
Hector,
Yeah.
real quick, it's you can find on HBO Max, Looney Tunes. I just looked it up. Yeah.
Oh, so okay. So now that people are starting to get access to these streaming services, we're kind of getting like throwbacks, right? Like we're watching these things and we're like, what? No way. That guy. Okay, so anyways, so Pepe Le Pew was first introduced in 1941. Okay. In 1941. This was the same era where black people were still being forced to work way after the Civil War ended. Okay. Same era that marked the end of World War II, where their gender roles were very clear. The men go out to fight, and the women hold it down at home and protect the children. The same era that had training manuals for supervisors on how to manage their female employees, which highlights institutionalized sexism. This is the era of Pepe Le Pew. So, what did you expect, America? Right? So, now these are the facts, and basically like if anyone has a problem with it, then they could rightfully choose to not partake, right? Like there's a part of like watching the show and seeing what he's doing and not liking it and then questioning like why would someone create this show with for children and you know fill it with what seems to be this guy trying to rape this other chick, or right. um, but even if you ignore all that, if you look at the logic of how the show is set up, it's a skunk that mm, um that thinks a cat is another skunk. So he goes after it. It's a skunk. Like how much like I mean, how smart are skunks?
Yeah, I mean in the cartoon, right? It's always the cat like running into some paint that paints her
Yeah.
like a skunk. right?
Right.
And then she's getting away from him because skunks smell, right? It's
Mhm.
like more not that he is being aggressive, you know, but uh, go ahead. I want
No,
to.
yeah. No. I'm glad you brought that up because not every episode is him like pushing himself on her. There are some episodes where his smell, either by cologne or I think he gets dipped in paint, so that scent goes away, and now she's interested. There's episodes where
Oh.
there's episodes where she basically like kidnaps him, locks him up, and be like, "I'm gonna have you all for myself," and he gets super scared and like, "I don't know if I want this anymore." I
Okay.
thought I
Okay.
thought I did. I thought I did. I don't think I'm ready for this.
Gio, I want to hear what you had to say before I reveal. I have the reveals, dog. So,
The reveals. Okay.
Gio, what you got?
Okay, this is just my anti-capitalist take on this. These corporations, they have an image to defend, right? So this is largely, I think, a market-driven phenomenon, and these entities are doing what's in their best financial interest, right? They want to make sure they're not going to be canceled, so they're self-censoring. I'm not 100% behind censoring content like this, even if they're legally allowed to, right? It's their own IP. But if kids want to watch, I don't know, they should just show it and then just have parents provide context. It'll give an opportunity for the parents and the kids to interact, right? Because we don't really have that anymore.
So in Peter Pan, right? So the film portrays native people in a stereotypical manner that reflects neither the diversity of native peoples nor their authentic cultural traditions. It shows them speaking in an unintelligible language and repeatedly refers to them as redskins, an offensive term. Peter and the Lost Boys engage in dancing, wearing headdresses, and other exaggerated tropes. So this is like quoted from the people from Disney who like are saying why, and these weren't pulled. They just are now like you have to be over 7 years old or something like that to watch them. There's like a parental control on them now. For Dumbo, the crows and musical number pay homage to racist minstrel shows where white performers with blackened faces and tattered clothing imitated and ridiculed enslaved Africans on southern plantations. The leader of the group Dumbo is Jim Crow, which shares the name of laws that enforce racial segregation in the southern United States. For the aristocrats, they said that the cat is depicted as a racist caricature of Eastern Asian peoples with exaggerated stereotypical traits such as slanted eyes and buck teeth. He signs in poorly accented English, voiced by a white actor, and plays the piano with chopsticks. So Disney thought, hey, this is sketchy. Maybe you should be old enough to, for I guess somebody to explain to you why this looks this way or why they made this to look that way. Maybe if you're too young, what I don't understand, Gio. If you could explain, or Hector, what is the fear that what that a young kid's gonna see this and what?
So I guess the fear might be that they will see this. That, like, for example, I think there's a quote in Peter Pan where they refer to the Indian as not intelligent. They might see that, or just like all the stereotypes, right? They might just see that, and the kids, without knowing that these things are like from a different time, they'll just run with it and like internalize some racist tropes, right?
So the the whole thing, I guess it looks like it started from a New York Times columnist named Charles M. Blow. And so he was slamming the cartoon character, saying that it added to rape culture, right? And then I kind of dug into the whole what was this what was the scene was gonna be what was the character supposed to be doing in this movie, right? So apparently there's a scene where Pepe is hitting on the cat that's voiced by I didn't get the actress's name, sorry, but even she protested to this when she found out that they cut the scene and Pepe Le Pew completely. In the scene, he hits on the cat. The cat doesn't like it, and the cat apparently hits him. And then he like spins in the chair, and LeBron stops him from spinning. And then something happens where there's like a restraining order between him and the cat, and then LeBron tells him, "Hey, you shouldn't just be grabbing on any Looney Tunes characters. Like, you have to have consent." Right. The voice actress, she was like, dude, like, this whole scene was kind of depicting like what could happen to you if you touch somebody without consent, and like a girl will smack you, right? Like, if she doesn't, but it shouldn't really get to that point, right? But I think that it was like a teaching moment that they could have used, and instead they were like, like, we're getting this cancel culture shit like on us, so we're just not gonna have it at all. This is all stuff that you have to watch contextually, right? And when your kids watch it, you have to tell them like, hey, it just for context, like, this was made back in the time where it was okay to be, to say these things or whatever. Yeah. So if you do that, there's no issue, I think. But to completely take Pepe Le Pew out of Space Jam, it's kind of sad to me. He was a character that I enjoyed a lot for sure. Growing up, I thought he was really funny, and the fact that a woman, right, the voice actress, is saying like, "Dude, why did you take this out? This could have been used, to show, the consequences of being inappropriate." They took it out, and she was upset about it. So, who are we pleasing here?
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll answer that question because I had the same thought. Who's rallying up, individuals who have like the same thought and like going again, to take down the corporations or these cartoons or movies, whatever. And the second question is, does it represent, you know, the majority of the people, like those views, right?
It,
Because what's up,
I have
Gio?
I have a theory. Like, it may not even be unless you have like there are people. Maybe it's not even viewers or people that consume the content. It may be the corporations themselves self-censoring as a preemptive gesture.
Yeah,
Maybe.
that's what it seems that Disney's doing, is like
Self canceling.
yeah, they're self like checking their stuff, and they're like, yo, like, this isn't good, this doesn't look good. Let's at least, if we're not gonna pull it, let's at least make sure that kids under a certain age can't have complete access to this, because you know I guess kids are impressionable, right? We like to think that video games, I that even though Geo, hasn't there been studies of like, video games not transferring into like you actually going out and busting a GTA and killing a hooker and stealing the money that you use to get her to blow you, like.
Correct. Yeah, there's no correlation really between like violent video game usage and actually committing acts. More it has more to do with like in general is like poverty, right? The number one indicator of violence, and also like mental disabilities.
Yeah, so wouldn't that also transfer to Disney fucking cartoons?
Yeah,
Correct. Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
so.
So I think we should use those fucking studies and be like, hey, yeah, I think we're kind of good on this, as long as you explain that you shouldn't be doing that. I mean, if not, we wouldn't have any movies that show anything wrong or bad, right? Like, but they're everywhere, right? And so, even commercials and ads and posters and anything that you see, like, could have something inappropriate that you can be like, hey, you know, that's they shouldn't be seeing that, but it's all out in the open, right? Um, yeah, I don't know. It's weird. And then, somebody on my Facebook had an interesting thing to say, was that these are just like things that are being created by, not only the media, but just like pundits, and they get us talking about it when we have a bigger fish to fry, right? And we're over here talking about, oh, they're canceling fucking cartoons. Like, who gives a fuck, right? Like, we're over here trying to get the Democrats to agree to give us 15 minimum wage, right? We got a bunch of Republicans voting no on all this shit that we need. Like, there's a lot more to talk about than these goddamn cartoons, but it riles everybody up on both sides.
Yeah, so I think that's they call that like a smoke screen. In philosophy, we call it a spectacle. It's basically like what you just said. Like there's you notice that the people are focusing on something very important, and you want to distract them from it. So you sway, you pump, and in this case you'll pump that story and headlines. You'll pump them in social media, in different ways, and it just kind of distracts you from what's really going on.
Yeah, I think that's definitely one of those things that's going on because, there's no way that anybody could truly care that much about cartoons and what they're showing on cartoons. The whole point of cartoons is exaggeration, right? That you can do things that are exaggerated, and I just can't see Disney doing that when there's shows like Family Guy and the Cleveland Show or American Dad, where there's blatant racism, sexism, rape jokes, abortion jokes, everything that you can find. They make fun of. Or South Park, right? South Park has been running since we were all young, and that show goes above and beyond shock value, right? So if those things are out there and they're not worried about censoring stuff, I honestly don't understand why Disney, unless they could do it and it just creates like a lot of buzz for their own content, and then they're like, everyone who goes and be like, oh, I wonder what's so wrong with this movie, and then they just go watch it, and they're like, oh, we just got somebody else to watch our movie. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know. I just can't see the outrage. The outrage is just stuff that I'm just not concerned with, right? At all. Hey guys, don't forget to like and subscribe if you like what you hear. And if you want to hear some of the issues that you care about discussed on Discussion Lounge, go ahead and drop them in the comments section.